Hey everyone, welcome back to The Explainer. Today we're diving into a really fascinating paradox right at the heart of the AI industry. We're going to look at how the absolute most idealistic, mission-driven tech organizations literally couldn't escape the massive gravitational pull of the market.
It all boils down to this one crazy mystery. What actually happens when the tech you need to save the world, well, costs way more than a mission-driven organization can afford to pay? We're exploring how two major AI players, OpenAI and Anthropic, who were founded specifically to resist commercial pressure, just ended up completely bowing to it. It's a classic story of high-minded ideals crashing headfirst into the brutal reality of scale.
All right, Part 1, the June 2026 paradox.
So let's look at a super recent, totally dramatic event that shows this paradox in real time. Just think about the sheer whiplash of what happened in June 2026. On June 9th, Anthropic drops its highly anticipated Claude Fable 5 and Mythos 5 models. Huge deal, right? But literally 3 days later, the Commerce Department swoops in, invokes national security, and orders an immediate suspension of access for all foreign nationals. And because Anthropic just couldn't filter its massive global user base by citizenship in real time, boom, they were backed into a corner and had to shut down both public models entirely. As of June 16th, they're still dark. Think about that. An org built ground up on a mission of AI safety, shut down by the government over national security.
Moving on to Part 2, the Idealists, Anthropic and OpenAI.
You know that crazy shutdown we just talked about? That's really just the tip of the iceberg. This has been brewing for years. Let's compare where Anthropic started to where they are right now. Back in 2021, they launched with this brilliant framework called constitutional AI. Basically, it was a way to align safety with capability, making sure the model checked its own outputs against strict rules. Their whole vibe was doing AI differently, safely, and totally divorced from pure profit. But fast forward to spring 2026. By May, they're actively prepping for a huge fall IPO. The exact company that was supposed to be the alternative to big tech is now gearing up to become one, completely tangled up in massive financial ties.
And man, the parallel with OpenAI here is just wild. Back in 2015, they explicitly launched as a nonprofit. The whole goal was to ensure artificial general intelligence benefits all of humanity, totally insulated from greedy shareholder interests. The mission was the whole point. But here we are in 2026. They've restructured into a conventional for-profit company and filed for their own IPO. That beautiful, visionary nonprofit mission? Yeah, it's basically been reduced to standard boilerplate text in their regulatory filings.
Now, OpenAI's governance didn't just collapse overnight. After that 2015 nonprofit launch, they pretty quickly realized they couldn't actually afford their own ambitions. So, in 2019, they spun up this capped profit subsidiary just to pull in outside cash. The ultimate test of that weird hybrid structure hit in November 2023. Remember that? The nonprofit board actually flexed its muscles and briefly fired CEO Sam Altman over concerns about candor and just how incredibly fast they were moving. But within days, commercial reality bit back. Altman was reinstated, the board members who fired him were gone, and by 2025, they officially bowed to reality and became a conventional for-profit. Commercial operations absolutely steamrolled the nonprofit board.
Section 3. The Unburdened Competitors.
To really get why Anthropic and OpenAI shifted so hard, we kind of need to zoom out and look at the rest of the field. Players like Microsoft with Copilot, Google's Gemini, or Elon Musk's xAI, they never really experienced mission drift because, well, they never had a non-commercial mission to start with. Microsoft's investment was a pure strategic play for capability. Google has had fiduciary duties to its shareholders for decades before modern AI even existed. xAI, explicitly commercial from day one. And then you have labs like Mistral in France or DeepSeek in China, operating with state-adjacent backing, where capital and national interests are perfectly aligned. OpenAI and Anthropic were basically in a league of their own, trying to defy the laws of corporate gravity.
Okay, Part 4, the simple arithmetic.
So if the founders were really that dedicated to their ideals, what actually went wrong, honestly? It's frontier AI compute. We are not talking about a couple of genius coders hacking away on laptops in a garage anymore. Training these next-gen models takes tens of thousands of insanely scarce, highly specialized chips running 24/7 for months on end in massive data centers. To put that into perspective for a second, the energy and infrastructure required is basically on par with the entire power grid of a medium-sized city. And the engineering talent needed to actually pull that off? Their compensation reflects absolute global scarcity.
Which brings us to a totally staggering number. $13 billion. That's essentially the GDP of a small country. And it happens to be the exact amount of money Microsoft committed to OpenAI, Oh, and ironically, it's also the exact amount Amazon initially dumped into Anthropic. This is the sheer, mind-bending financial gravity you need just to buy a seat at the table in the AI race. Look, a mission first org might fend off commercial pressure for a seed round or two, but you literally cannot crowdsource $13 billion.
And guys, it compounds into an even more ridiculous number, $100 billion. In April 2026, Anthropic committed to spending over $100 billion on AWS infrastructure. That one single move made their primary cloud provider their biggest financial backer, and crucially handed them a seat on the board. The financial entanglement just becomes total, complete, and completely irreversible.
It really all boils down to this. When the cost of making the product exceeds what a mission-driven structure can actually raise, the structure just changes to accommodate the cost. The investors writing those $10 billion checks, they aren't philanthropists. They have strict, legal, fiduciary duties to their own shareholders, their limited partners, and sometimes even the federal government. Those obligations don't just magically disappear because the AI lab they're funding has a nice safety charter. The whole corporate structure is inevitably forced to twist and contort itself to handle those massive costs.
Which brings us to part 5, an open question.
This is not a story about villains or heroes. It is a story about arithmetic. Honestly, that sums it up perfectly. We aren't looking at greedy founders intentionally selling out, and we aren't looking at evil investors acting in bad faith. We just have math. The reality on the ground is that both OpenAI and Anthropic are now governed by the exact same forces as every other massive tech giant: capital requirements, investor expectations, and just relentless competitive pressure. So, as of June 16, 2026, here is the stark reality. Anthropic's most capable models are completely offline because of a federal dispute. And the corporate entanglement here goes really deep. That government dispute was actually indirectly sparked because Amazon, Anthropic's biggest investor and cloud provider, has huge tech ties with the Department of Defense. That brought intense federal scrutiny right to Anthropic's front door. Their safety mission literally created friction with national security. Meanwhile, OpenAI is just operating as a normal for-profit, with its founding mission basically surviving only as legal jargon. And both of these once idealistic labs, they're actively prepping for massive public IPOs.
Which leaves us with a really provocative final thought. Does a structure even exist that can truly hold a safety mission together with the insane capital requirements of frontier AI? After a decade of these massive experiments in corporate governance, it really looks like nobody has found the answer yet. The tension between protecting humanity and paying for the massive compute needed to do so is completely unresolved. And as these AI tools get baked into the software you use every single day, that unresolved tension directly impacts the reliability of everything downstream. It's a massive question that leaves the market and, honestly, the entire future of AI wide open. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep asking the hard questions, and I'll catch you on the next one.